welcome to a brand new movie review. This one is for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. And with this sequel, we follow our hero 2 years after the events of Ghostbusters Afterlife. They have moved to the Big Apple, New York, reopened the firehouse, and are now constantly busting ghosts. Everything seems to be going alright until a mysterious artifact lands at their doorstep, unleashing an ancient and chilling ghost upon New York. Now, that's pretty much all I can say without giving any spoilers away. Now, I know there are a lot of fans who absolutely loves Ghostbusters, but the enthusiasm for this franchise, I feel there just isn't there anymore. I think most people didn't know this movie was coming out this weekend, and Sony wasn't doing the best job marketing this movie. That kind of breaks my heart as a Ghostbusters fan, because obviously I watched this movie going out and fell in love with them, and nobody seems excited about this movie, and it's a little sad. But the trailers for this actually seems to be pretty interesting. They were no longer going to rely on nostalgia. They were introducing a brand new villain. We're back in New York City. The firehouse is open. They're driving the Echo One. It felt like a classic Ghostbuster adventure, and that's what I was excited to see. And let me tell you, my biggest fear with this movie is not that it will be bad. It just that it will be turned out to be fine, just okay. And that's mainly because I feel that we need an amazing standout Ghostbuster movie to reignite some of the hype around this franchise, and we get something that is just meh okay, that's not really going to do much to tattle people either way. Well, after having seen the movie, my fears were slightly confirmed. Now, don't get me wrong, for Ghostbuster fans, there's going to be a lot in here for you to like the movie and maybe fall in love with it. There's actually a lot of things myself that I did that this movie did, and that I was really surprised with. That I thought they were taking risks in the right direction, but it all kind of came down to execution and how you feel about some of the strong plot points in here. And I'll jump into that in just a second. But let me get into the positives here. For one, I love the direction of this movie. While Afterlife, I thought it was a good way to step back into this universe, pay respect to Harold, introduce new characters, while really telling a story that reminded people of the first Ghostbuster movie. This is the kind of a Ghostbuster film I've been waiting for a long time. Just a classic adventure back in New York City, not having to rely too much on nostalgia, bringing in a brand new ghost with some new mythology and lore, and yes, I felt that this was the way to go. Even saw the creative team of this movie, Jason Reitman and Q Guinan, said that they took inspiration from the real Ghostbusters TV show. That's kind of what is inspired them, is that to introduce a new villain that you will see on the show like that. But not just that, the aesthetic they continue to have, they feels very much connected to the first two movie things when it comes to the special effects, the way the ghosts look like Slimer in particular. I love they use a mix of modern and old effects to bring back to life what Slimer looks like, and that kind of attention to detail feels really nice. Now, even the gadgets they throw in here, looking at all the new gadgets they throw in here, from the ECI ghost straps, drone ghost straps, nice new red jackets, new proton packs, and there's an entire scene dedicated to a Ghostbusters lab and all of that. I found myself so invested in. And just with the original Ghostbuster movie, I felt this one stays true to the comedy. The original Ghostbuster movie is a bit of a phenomenon, because I seen people online argue that the first Ghostbuster movie should have never been a franchise, that the first Ghostbuster film is a comedy first and foremost, and just had really cool ideas. And while I don't totally agree with those people, I do believe a Ghostbuster movie must include some sort of a comedy. And yeah, with people like comedian Johnny in here, Paul Rudd, Patton Oswalt, James Acaster, yeah, you're going to be chuckling quite a few times throughout the course of this movie. Now, I touched upon this already, but I still want to elaborate a little further. The risk that they took in this movie, as I mentioned, Afterlife really rely on nostalgia and retrading story points from the original movie, while it felt like 80% nostalgia and 20% new stuff. In Frozen Empire, they switch it around. It's 80% new stuff and 20% nostalgia. You're going to get callbacks to lines and Easter eggs thrown out there, familiar ghosts that you remember from the first two movies, and that's going to make the experience a lot more fun for die-hard fans. But to me, it was really the moments they were doing new things, where they were adding new history into the Ghostbuster world. I found myself in moments really in invested in the story with the idea of this new ice villain. That was one of the things that I like about Ghostbusters 2, although it has its flaws, finding out the mystery behind the haunted painting and the eerie feeling you got uncovering why this being is around, why it's looking, why it's struggling. I enjoyed that aspect of the movie. There's also a new ghost thrown in here that I thought actually made the world feel more fun. There's one red dot ghost, I believe his name is the possessor, and just things that they were able to do with that one entity, I was like, oh, that's really fun. So you hear me kind of gushing on a lot of elements in this movie, and you're starting to think it's just fine. It started to sound like a pretty Ghostbuster movie to me. Then let's get into the things and kind of mix and negatives about this film. Starting off with the mix of things. There's a lot of ideas and concepts that throw into Frozen Empire that I appreciate. There's like they kind of are risks, and they, yes, I feel that the franchise should be taking, adding on to the lore, doing something a little new and different. But those risks comes to the possibility that it's not always executed right, and I think it really came down to preference. There's going to be two major plot points thrown in here that are not going to ruin for spoilers purposes, but they were pretty much left out of the trailers. One involves a story plot with McKenna Grace's character. She's been one of the youngest members of this Ghostbuster team. It's been told you can really be on the team. Yeah, you're a little too young. You shouldn't have been go out there and chasing ghosts, and so you she starts to feel isolated, alone, left out, and she befriends somebody in this movie. And that friendship, to me, I think was the most unexpected part of Frozen Empire. There were parts of it where I was like, oh, I see what you're doing in here, and that's interesting. I like it, and I think it drags on, and then it stops to stop working for me, and it gets a little cliche, and it doesn't have the emotional impact I think the movie was wanting, and I think that's going to be the most like controversial plot point for a lot of people. Another one is involving Kumail Nanjiani's character. There's more to him than just cracking jokes in this movie. And again, it was another idea that I was like, oh, I like what you're doing here. That's an interesting concept. the history behind it, I think, was for this universe, but towards the third act, it goes a little off the rails and starts to feel like this is a really Ghostbusters. This feel like this belong in a different universe, but it was a risk, like I said, that the movie was willing to take, and I do appreciate it taking those risks. Along with that, I think also the biggest downfall of Frozen Empire is it's overstuffed. There are too many characters in here. The movie tries to give each character some sort of a spotlight. It feels like over complicate things. There's too much going on. You start jumping back and forth from character to character, and the movie begins to feel really messy. And I feel like they have the legacy cast in here. They're not hidden in the trailers. You know they are included in here. But along with the legacy characters, you have the returning characters from Afterlife. And along with them, you have new faces for Frozen Empire. And you could just feel the movie has maybe stretched itself a little too thin. Some people are giving really nice arts, like McKinney Grace and even Paul Rudd. And then there's other people like Finn Wolfhard, they's barely giving a knock and almost feel like they fade into the background of this movie a little bit. I also feel that it was the way they went about using the legacy characters. Like they're just there. Bill Murray will pop out in a random scene and we will see him for 30 minutes and then he'll pop out again. Same thing with Annie Potts' character. It's nice to have them include and be part of the story, but aside from Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd, a lot of the legacy characters were just randomly thrown in here. Another thing that I think is going to let people down is the villain. Now the villain himself is pretty badass. There's a great build up to him. I like the mythology behind it, the story, his powers, his look, but unfortunately the build up to this villain and him taking full reign takes a long time in this movie, and unfortunately since the movie does a good job of building up this threat and this feeling why we should be scared of him and why of him being loose in the city, once it gets loose and it does its thing and it has to fight the Ghostbusters, it's a little anticlimactic. It goes a little way too fast and the movie is over and you're like, whoa, all that build up just for that. And that's really what Ghostbusters Frozen Empire comes down to. It's a little misbad for longtime fans who just wanted a new Ghostbuster movie with a nice fun adventure. There's going to be enough here to redeem the movie for you and maybe make it good. But unfortunately, it's not the Ghostbuster movie that is going to knock it out of the park and take the franchise to the next level. That's unfortunate to say because I love the first movie and I also really enjoyed the last one, Afterlife. I thought it was a really great Ghostbuster movie. But this one is unfortunately, it's not great. It feels like too many characters, too many plot points. It's just not enough time to go over it and make it feel that everything connects right. And just the villain with all at the beginning you see, whoa, this is a fascinating villain, it's interesting, but by the end, like I said, it's over in in a few minutes. It's just, it goes by so quick and it just feel disappointed. So we'll see what they do with this franchise. But that's my review for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, consider subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.